Our topic is simple and dangerous at the same time. Capitalism versus communism. I'm Goldstein, unapologetic fan of free markets, private property, and good espresso.
And I'm Sanya, unapologetic fan of collective ownership, economic equality, and the idea that people should matter more than profit. Yes, I see the star on me. Thank you.
That's hard to miss.
Thank you.
That's hard to miss. You do realize that for a lot of people, that star means gulags, secret police, and breadlines, right?
I know, and I'm not here to defend gulags or dictators. I'm here to talk about the idea of communism, not to worship every regime that put a red flag on its buildings.
But that's the problem I see. Every time people tried communism for real, it slid into dictatorship. Lenin, Stalin, Mao, the Soviet Union, North Korea, the CCP in China. Different countries, same pattern. A small group holds all power and says it's for the people.
And every time people tried capitalism, we got colonialism, sweatshops, child labor, slavery as an economic system, and billionaires while others starve. Different centuries, same pattern. If we're going to talk about dark histories, we both bring a lot to the table.
But at least capitalism today mostly runs without a single party controlling everything. You can criticize your boss, your government, your company. Under Stalin, if you criticize the party, you disappeared.
I'm not calling Stalin a hero. I'd call him a tragedy. The Soviet Revolution started with genuine hope. End of monarchy, land for peasants, workers' power. Then power concentrated in one party, then in one man, and everything rotted from there.
But that's exactly my point. Communism needs enormous central power to redistribute everything and plan the economy. Once you hand that power to a party, what stops it from turning into Stalin 2.0?
What stops capitalism from turning into oligarchy, where a handful of corporations own everything and basically write the laws? We're already halfway there in some countries. Power concentrates under both systems if you don't put real checks in place.
Capitalism can drift into oligarchy, but you can vote out a government, start a new business, build a competing platform. You don't have to ask the Central Committee for permission to open a bakery.
If three giant platforms control most of the market, good luck competing. In many democracies, money buys media, media shapes votes, and the rich write the rules. It's not that pure.
Okay, but let me ask this directly. If you proudly call yourself a communist, how do you deal with the fact that millions of people died under regimes that waved that same flag?
I deal with it by being honest. Those deaths were crimes. Those regimes became authoritarian. The moment you say, the party is always right and anyone who disagrees is a traitor, you've left communism as an ideal and entered pure power politics.
But they all said they were implementing communism.
And colonial empires claimed they were civilizing people. Slavers claimed they were bringing religion to the enslaved. Leaders lie. Dictators steal any ideal they can to justify control. I don't judge the ideal by the worst people who used its name.
Still, there's a pattern. When the state owns all major resources and there's no private property, whoever controls the state controls everything. No independent press, no independent business, no independence.
That pattern is real, and it scares me too. That's why I'm not cheering for some one-party state. My version of communism is not CCP 2.0. It's a long-term goal of a classless society where workplaces are run democratically and basic needs are guaranteed.
The problem is that outside of books and lectures, communism came with secret police and purges.
Outside of theory, capitalism came with the slave trade, forced labor in colonies, and dictators supported because they were good for business. History isn't kind to either of us.
Okay, let's get practical. In your ideal communist future, who owns the factories?
Workers' councils, cooperatives, the community. Not one private owner, not one state bureaucrat, but structures where the people who actually work there decide together.
And if they disagree?
Then they vote, negotiate, compromise, like people already do in unions and cooperatives. It's not magic, it's just applying democracy inside the economy, not only in elections every 4 years.
And what about innovation? The smartphone, the internet, new medicines, electric cars, Most of that came from capitalist economies.
A lot of it came from public research, university labs, and state-funded projects, with private companies taking the final product to market. The internet started as a government project, not as a capitalist startup in a garage.
But those startups turned it into products people actually want. That last step matters. Without the profit motive, would people really push so hard to build the next big thing?
People also write open source software for free, contribute to Wikipedia for free, create art for free. Not everything humans do is driven by profit. Sometimes we just want to build something cool or useful or beautiful.
But the scale is different. Netflix, Tesla, Apple, massive scale, massive money behind them. You need investment and risk-taking. If everything is collective, who takes the risk?
The community. Instead of one billionaire taking the risk and capturing most of the reward, society invests and shares the benefits. We already do this with public infrastructure and basic research. I just want more of that logic.
And if the project fails?
Then society learns and moves on just like investors do. Failure exists under every system. The difference is who pays the price.
You keep saying society, but that usually means the state, and the state is people with power. How do you prevent your democratic communism from becoming yet another party-state dictatorship?
By keeping power decentralized. Local councils, strong independent courts, free press, the right to form opposition parties. If someone says, for the revolution, we must cancel opposition, I know we're going straight into hell.
And my fear is that your final destination is a place where people cannot open a small business without filling 20 political forms and pleasing a party committee.
My fear is that your final destination is a place where 8 corporations own most of the world and everyone else rents everything from them forever.
Okay, let's talk about your star again. When people see that symbol, many think of the Soviet Union, of the Berlin Wall, of China's CCP. Do you feel any responsibility to clearly reject what they did?
Yes. I reject Stalin's purges, the gulag, show trials, censorship, personality cults. I reject North Korea's dynastic dictatorship, pretending to be socialist. I reject any system where criticism equals treason.
But then, why still use the word communism? Why not call yourself a democratic socialist or something less loaded?
Because the core idea still speaks to me. A classless society where the means of production are collectively owned and no one is exploited. I don't want to hand that idea over to every tyrant who abused the word.
You understand that from where I'm sitting, it feels like wearing a logo that millions associate with repression and saying, I mean the good version.
And from where I'm sitting, capitalism is a logo millions associate with exploitation, sweatshops, destroyed unions, and IMF reforms that hurt the poor. Yet you still wear your suit proudly.
Touché. But I openly criticize the worst parts of capitalism. Cronyism, corruption, monopolies, deregulation that leads to crashes. I don't pretend those don't exist.
And I openly criticize communist dictators. Maybe that's what's missing from a lot of political debates. People willing to criticize their own side without switching sides.
Fair enough. Still, if someone is listening right now and thinking, should I support communism? What would you tell them about the danger of dictators?
I'd say this. If anyone tells you we need absolute power to build a perfect future, trust us, run. That's not communism. That's a cult. If there's no freedom to disagree, to organize independently, to form opposition, it will go bad, no matter what they call themselves.
That's actually a sentence I can sign under almost any system.
Good. Then let me throw the question back at you. If someone is listening and thinking, should I trust capitalism? What would you warn them about?
I'd say don't romanticize it. Markets can be cruel. Without rules, the strong eat the weak. If you let corporations write the laws, they will. If you never organize as workers or citizens, you'll be treated as disposable.
So in both systems, the same lesson. Power must be checked and people must stay awake.
Exactly. I still believe capitalism with strong democratic institutions and regulations is the best bet we have.
And I still believe a future beyond capitalism, something truly post-capitalist and communal, is both necessary and possible.
So we're not going to hug it out and agree on a middle word?
No hug today. I'm still the communist with the star. You're still the capitalist in the suit.
Good. Conflict makes better content anyway.
And better questions. For everyone listening, whose arguments did you find more convincing today, Goldstein's or mine?
And more importantly, what scares you more? A world where everything is for sale, or a world where one party decides everything for your own good? Let us know in the comments.
But please, no gulags and no billionaire fan clubs.
Or cringe communist dictator lovers. Thanks for listening to this very peaceful little war of ideas.
See you in the next battle.